Samsung, the biggest phone company on the planet, winning everywhere else except one place. Samsung in China got this rule for their stores, sell 300,000 RMB a month, about $45,000. That sounds easy, right? But let's do the math together. A flagship phone is what, $950? To hit 45 grand, you need to sell 47 phones. That's less than 2 phones one day. 2 in one day. And Samsung stores in China just can't meet that low bar. In May this year, they also shut down their home appliance business in China. Let that sit for a second.
Here is a scoreboard. Out of every 1,000 phones sold in China, exactly 1 is Samsung. Only 1. The other 999 went to other brands. The number 1 phone brand is a rounding error in the world's largest market. Somewhere, a Samsung VP is crying into his galaxy. How does the king turn into a rumor? That's story number 1. We'll come back to it later.
Now Apple. Apple's alright, but don't get excited yet. Not dying and winning are not the same thing. Just ask 2022's Tim Cook.
Wow.
That was Apple's best year in China. 54 million phones sold.
Wow.
Nearly 1 in every 5 in the country. But they still rank number 3 in the country,
Only Apple can do.
right behind the top 2 Chinese brands. Then it all went downhill.
Wow.
2024, 43 million phones sold, 15% market share. At one point, they fell off China's top 3 in their own premium playground. And the part that should keep Apple HQ up at night is this. Apple used to own the fancy end. 3 of every 4 phones over $600 was an Apple. Today, barely half of that. Somebody walked in and took the good stuff back. 2025, they tried to bounce back. First try was spring. It worked because it was a sale. The 618 Shopping Festival, China's Black Friday in June, deep discount, government subsidies money throw in, borrow growth, basically. Second try was fall. The iPhone 17 dropped. Q4 up 21%. 1 quarter, 1 in 5 phones in the whole country was an Apple. Number 1. But the whole year, up just 4%. Still below 2022. A comeback that forgot how to come all the way back. 2026, climbing again, up 24% in Q2. But the whole market is shrinking. Analysts whisper that people are just buying early, stealing tomorrow's sales for today. So the rebound is real, but held together with tape. It's been 4 years, and they have never touched the peak.
Western media will sum up the story in one word: subsidy. Subsidy helped Chinese brand win head-to-head with Apple and crashed the Samsung. Say it non-stop, it sounds like it was the only trick that works. But was it?
You know what? Apple's 2025 bounce, part of it thanks to the same Chinese subsidy. Rain falls on everybody. Apple got their fair share too. And Apple still didn't get back to 2022. And Samsung got every red carpet treatment a foreign giant could dreamed of. Still, 0.1% market share. Huawei is still number 1. So if subsidy was the engine, then foreign brands should have skyrocketed. But they have not, just like China's car industry. Why Samsung landed so hard on their face? It lost on 3 levels, all at once, like a comedy of errors. First, product. They're cheap phones. Chinese brands need them cheaper and better. Mid-tier, specs fell behind. The fancy flagship, squeezed. Apple on top, Huawei underneath. Samsung in the middle getting crushed like a sandwich filling. Second, trust. Remember the Note 7? Phones were catching fire. Global recall. But China was not on the first list. The arrogance did more damage than the exploded phones. Third, channel. While Chinese phone brands like Vivo, Xiaomi, Oppo, Honor, Huawei were opening shops in small towns and selling on live streaming at 2 a.m., Samsung was figuring out how to work the website.
Apple's story is simpler. One rival comeback. Huawei, they came back hard. Took the top end Apple thought was locked off forever. Not a band, not a government, a competitor. The weird China market is not politics, it's just competition. The brutal, local, speedrun kind. The kind the Western brands don't know how to play.
I've used iPhone since iPhone 3GS. 15 years on Apple. But last year I switched to Vivo. The user experience is on par with iPhone and iOS, but way better photography system and AI capability. That's not a compliment I hand out lightly. The pictures I took with my Vivo X300 Pro can prove my words.
Actually, the real story is under the hood. Two things inside these phones. China builds both.
First, the eyes. For flagship cameras, still mostly Sony, a bit of Samsung. That's the story they tell. The fine print? Chinese sensor makers already ship more than half of every camera sensors in the world's phones. And last year, for the first time ever, they took over half the mainstream cameras in China's own flagship phones. Sony is still the king, but the floor just stood up and tapped him on the shoulder. Second, the brain. Huawei created its own system, Harmony OS. Everybody else? Still Android-based, but deeply customized. In China, Harmony OS just passed iOS, 19% market share, to Apple's 17%. First time in 17 years, a third OS climbed over them.
Samsung, number one everywhere, but 0.1 in China. Apple, the giant can't find its glory in 2022. The copycats from China now build the sensors and the OS. This is China Inside. I'm Sean. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
666